you want to name our panel?
It says bigger and better. Our panel, bigger and better, large format cosplay 101. That's why you're here, right?
Woo!
You're here for that, right? Okay, good. We'll be covering introductions, meeting all of these people other than just Snorlax. Things to consider before you build, materials, how we individually made our builds, transportation and logistics, how I even got the suit here, how they even got their suits here, where they put it afterwards, safety and self-care. As you can see, maybe there's like a little scratch right here from me hitting my suit. Don't do that. Also, I'm sweaty, so I had a lot of water. That's important. We'll cover that as well. And then emoting, being the costume. See me dancing or fighting Scyther or dancing with Chocobos. We'll talk about that as well, and then we'll get into a QA. We have a mic right here for afterwards. Anyway, hi. I'm Korzak Snorlax. I've been cosplaying since 2010. As you can see, my first costume was Master Chief. I am 6'4", by the way. So large cosplays are my thing, and Snorlax is the big one.
Is that it?
Yeah.
You want to say more about you?
I'm cool. They know that.
All right. Hi, I am Maluna Bear. So I have a cheer squad. They are plants. I've done several larger cosplay. You may have seen Cute Thulu or Pachimari. Pachimari was like my first like real foray into something super large. And I started cosplaying. I'm gonna date myself in like 2000. In like 2000 as a white mage from Final Fantasy at Otakon, so back in Baltimore. So it's been a time, and cosplay has come along so far for myself and for just the community in general. And then for me in particular, a lot of my fun challenge is the functionality and design, which I will talk about later when I go into it. But cosplay is something that takes up my brain space a lot, especially on long drives when I'm bored. And I'm just like, how do I do this?
All right. Hi, I'm Texel. You may have seen me around these past number of years as the Green Scyther. I started cosplaying at my first MAGFest in 2017 as that kind of dark blue guy Gumo from Ori and the Blind Forest. If anyone is familiar with that game, I've also I've done two significant cosplays since then, which were Scyther and Flick, who I've kind of alternated for the past couple years as well. And for me, I'm pretty much exclusively interested in doing these kind of video game mascot characters, and like model accurate is what I go for with these.
Okay. So we're going to move into talking about brainstorming a little bit. So like I mentioned at the beginning with my section here was that brainstorming takes up a lot of my brain space. Like literally there's just a lot to think about before you get started or as you're going along. So first of all, you need to plan for things like your weight, your cost, your logistics, your durability. These costumes are heavy. They are difficult to lug around. Have you seen this guy? Have you seen his cosplay? Have you seen this one?
Have you seen this man?
Yes. Have you seen this man? It can be difficult to get them around, and we'll kind of go into a little bit more into logistics later, but you do need to plan for it in advance. Otherwise, you're going to make your cool costume and be like, oh, now what? What do I do? It sits in my basement. And think about durability, making sure that it's going to last, that it's not fragile to the point where you can't get it to where it needs to be without it falling apart. In addition, you're going to think about how the suit's worn. How do you see out of it? You will want to see out of it. Trust me, you want to see out of it. I have almost stepped on a child before. Let us not do that. It is not nice for anybody. Framework, how sturdy is it? Is it going to hold its shape? Snorlax is a great example. You can see how the head holds its shape completely. If it were made out of a softer foam, and we'll do examples too. If it's made out of a softer foam, it might kind of collapse in on itself. So thinking about your materials and how you're wearing it and the physical framework of your cosplay is super important. Two other things. Make sure you're testing some of your stuff. Now, granted, cosplay in general is always an adventure. There's lots of things that are going to go wrong and things that are going to go right, and you'll be very surprised with how you do. But I would note that we all have used different methods and yet still some of the same methods for putting things together. But you can do lots of testing of paper patterns, 3D models, sketches. Like I put a little sketch up there. So when I was making Cute Thulu, it's sort of like the Cthulhu head, but you can see that circle in the middle is my head. So where I'm thinking my head is going to be in the costume, how tall am I versus my costume? Where, am I seeing out of the top of the head? Things like that. And then finally, as I mentioned, things will go wrong. Things won't work. The glue won't hold. The material is flimsier than you expected, what have you. Be prepared. Everything is cosplay. Everything can be cosplay. You will adapt. You will adapt and you will learn, and then you'll do cool things in the future. And then so back to logistics brainstorming. So I've got a couple great photos here. And if you are the girl with the pink hair, I'm going to tell you I am very sorry. Apparently I made your day, but I did not know that that's what I was doing to you. So I apologize. And then Snorlax is literally the elevator. I can't believe you fit another person in there.
Yeah, there's actually three people
There's
in
three
there.
people
There's
in there.
Three other people in there.
Were they
somehow.
touching your butt?
Probably.
Yep.
I mean, it's hard not to.
So a couple things to think about. Do I need to call HR?
It's fine. It's fine.
So within driving distance, shipping cosplay is very expensive, especially large cosplay. If it can't fit in a small box, you're going to have to pay the large box shipping. We're talking like freight. So it can be very expensive. So if you are going to think about going further, think about how you're going to get there. Think about if you can fit through doorways, elevators, and hallways. And actually this particular room only has single doors.
We were surprised by that, yeah.
He
I
couldn't
scouted
come
the
in.
room. It has single doors
Yeah.
for our large cosplay panel that Snorlax cannot get into, period.
So there may be times where you are taking up the whole hallway, or you can't get through, or you can't wear your costume in the hallways at the hotel. You have to come down and put it on. Think about your hotel space and roommates. I will tell you that for me personally, I had a time where people were partying in my room because it's MAGFest, right? And somebody spilled wine on one of my costumes. So it's okay. I think. I don't know. It's probably fine. But just be aware that, especially if you're like,
okay,
oh, it's
we're not
MAGFest.
friends anymore. It's okay.
Who did it? I don't remember. Okay, so I did. In the future, though, I have planned very hard to try to get hotel spaces here that have not a lot of roommates, or a king bed where there's a whole lot of extra stuff like that. Just think about your roommates. You can't cram 5 people in your room and have a large cosplay. Or you can. I don't know. You can try. You could sleep in the cosplay. Just saying.
Nice and toasty.
Yeah. And then finally, the one last thing I wanted to note was think about what you can and can't do in costume. Picture Snorlax trying to go through the dealer's room. Yeah? Yeah, that's not going to work. It would be really fun, not for anybody else.
It would not be fun for the dealers that I knock all the
yes.
stuff over.
So you do have to be very conscious. And I'm sorry, I keep saying that, but your wings would whap somebody.
Yeah, there's no way.
Yeah. Think about the things you can't do. So you might need to plan your time where, hey, I'm going to go do dealer's room during this time, and I'm going to go do cosplay during this time. But when you got to go and get dressed, and it's a whole thing, and it takes time, and you got to shower after, it can take a lot of time to do. So you might need to plan your time logistically around your cosplay.
To the point of the wings, that was one of my primary design considerations. And how can I, maybe change the costume in the middle so that I can ease my logistics issues at the convention? And I'll talk more about that later. But you can see the setup to the side there.
This is you, bud.
Oh yes, thank you. All right, so getting started, brainstorming, thinking about how you're going to build the costume. What's the first step that you're going to take? It may be that you rip apart a doll and start patterning, or you may decide to take a more digital approach to planning things out, which is how I approach costumes and how like the Snorlax costume was approached. And there are a few great resources to help you with that. So the first one I'm going to mention is the models resource that's listed at the bottom. For those of you who are trying to make like model accurate cosplays of a video game character, guess what? Somebody already ripped those models and posted them on the internet, and you can go download them.
So good. Yeah.
I may have figured out how to act. No, I'm not gonna say anything. But I did get my hands on a Flick model shortly after the release of Animal Crossing for that purpose. All right, now you have a model. What are you going to do with it? It may be that you can kind of just use it as is, which might have been the case for Snorlax. Maybe you can confirm. But for me, Scyther is somewhat human-like, but definitely is not going to fit with his weird joints. And if I were to do Flick at scale, I would be like 9 or 10 feet tall in order to fit inside of him. So you take a program like Blender, which is a 3D modeling application, and you can import that model. And you can start to manipulate it and reshape it to be more appropriate for wearing. And another resource that will be very helpful in that process is a piece of software called MakeHuman. This is a program you can download for free that lets you put in like 100 or so different measurements of your own body and produces a human model of you without having to like go do a 3D scan of yourself. It's going to be a close enough approximation. So now you can import that and just start like superimposing everything on top of each other. And I found that very helpful. And then finally, we have Pepakura, which is the software that both of us use to turn those models into actual patterns that we use to construct the foam or cut the fabric for our costumes. So we'll talk more about that in our builds.
I just want to add one real quick thing. So sometimes your 3D models are not going to be ready to just turn into something. Just as an FYI, if you're like, oh man, I'm going to download this thing and immediately make it, it's not always that easy. And I only want to mention this because it took me a while to find it. It's called retopology, when you take a pattern and you kind of like shrink wrap another pattern on top of it to make a clean version of it. Mm-hmm. It's called retopology. Mm-hmm. So if you YouTube it.
Yeah, definitely do that. That's just like a standard like 3D modeling thing that's really helpful. And anyone who's taking photos, I saw some people taking photos of the slides. At the end of the slide, we'll have a QR code, and you can just go straight to this doc and have all the links here, all these things you can see.
Spoilers.
Yeah, all those. Well, actually, no. Pepakura costs something. I don't know.
Pepakura is like $40 or so for, I think, a perpetual license.
I think it's like 20 for like.
There's also a demo,
either way.
and it is still usable in demo form. Although I think you can't save, so
yeah.
You'll have to sort of one-shot your process.
It's worth it.
You should buy it though if you're going to use it. You'll want to save your work. It's time-consuming. And I just mentioned Blender. I didn't go into any of the details of it, but there's actually quite a bit of work that may need to go into preparing that model for Pepakura, or you're going to have like a 5,000 face papercraft, and it's going to pop up a warning and tell you you're being dumb and you should go change your model.
Yeah, definitely a good point, but we don't have time to get into the full details of how 3D modeling works, unfortunately. But yeah, good point.
All right. So moving past the like sort of initial design phase, you've got like a plan, maybe you've got your patterns now. How do you start building this thing? What should you build it out of? And when it comes to the large format cosplay, a lot of it is mascot cosplay, which is the three of us, but of course there's also like giant robot builds and all sorts of stuff. In all of that case, the most common material you're going to use is foam. That is sort of the bread and butter of building these things, and there isn't just foam. There are a variety of different kinds of foams, and you're going to want to pick one that's appropriate for your use. So the first one I'll mention is open cell foam, also called upholstery foam. That is what you find in your couch cushions. And I have a couple samples of it right up here. It's very squishy and bendy, flexible. And it comes in a variety of thicknesses. I've got like The most common ones you'll encounter, 1 inch, ½ inch, and these are great for building the shells of your costume, or just anything that needs to bend. One of the issues you will encounter if you try to do everything in this foam is that as you scale things up, it kind of doesn't hold its shape very well. Things might start to collapse on themselves, and it can be difficult to pattern with. Because, say, if I have a piece of foam like this, and I want to make, say, a circle, I can glue these ends together, and it will hold its circle shape. But the moment I let go of this, it's just back to being straight. And if you're trying to assemble something that doesn't just naturally fall into that curvature that it wants to settle into, you're going to have a hard time capturing that. So the next kind of foam that's very commonly used, especially in armor builds, is EVA foam, which is closed cell. And a common source of this is the puzzle piece floor mats you can buy at Home Depot or online, or tool mats. There are also specialty suppliers who will sell you sheets of smooth-sided foam on both sides, which can be very helpful in some cases, and they can be encountered in different thicknesses if you buy the specialty sheets, anywhere from, say, 1 millimeter to 10 millimeter. Those puzzle piece mats, by the way, are about 10 millimeters. That's pretty thick. You may want something thinner and lighter. So here's 4 millimeter right here. These are great. So one of the great things about EVA foam is it holds its shape very well. You can heat form it, and it will kind of hold that bend, which is what I did with this piece. It used to look like this. And it's sandable as well, so it can be good for finishing and like applying a primer or like a latex coating or a paint to, whereas the open cell is basically will have to be covered in fabric. There's a few other foams that may have niche uses, like XPS board, which is the really stiff insulating board, or spray foam. But pretty much these two are the staple. I think we also have fabric on here, which is how do you?
Next slide.
Okay,
Next slide.
my paper sheet is a little out of.
We had a lot of renditions.
Out of date. So how do you cover these things? Well, I said that the EVA foam might be able to be finished directly, like if you're building armor. But if you're building something that's like fuzzy, you're going to need to cover it in fabric. Common fabrics you're going to use are faux fur, like used on the Snorlax, although that can be quite heavy. You can use something much shorter, like minky fabric, which also has a little bit of stretch. That's what I use to cover flick. And then there are other options as well. Scyther is covered in spandex. It's very stretchy, which is great for covering all these weird curves. And because he's a bug, it just made sense. And so when I couldn't find a color in the minky that I wanted, I found one in spandex, and so I went with it, and it was great. In addition to that, there are other specialty fabrics that are helpful, such as when you need to see through something. So the eyes on most of these costumes, like on fursuit heads, for example, use something called buckram, which is kind of a mesh, and you can paint it and see through it from the back. Tulle is like that really, really fine mesh that can be useful in some cases, like the mouth has it inside so I can see out, but nobody can really see in that well. So definitely when you're looking for fabric, go online, get some swatches, test colors, and see what you think might work for your project. You may be surprised. It may not be the first thing you think of.
Adhesives.
Adhesives too.
Sorry.
No, it's
Go
okay.
back.
I got you. Spoilers.
I keep
look.
looking at my paper sheet, and it's betraying
It's
me.
wrong. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's a slight rearrange.
So, okay, you've got your foam, you've got your patterns, you've got it all cut out. How do you hold it together? The first thing you're probably going to think of is hot glue. You will use a lot of hot glue in your project, I promise. That is like the staple in all cosplay.
Oh, yeah.
It is viable to use in gluing your your foams together as well, both types. But I don't think it is actually the ideal adhesive to use for this purpose. And if you do finish a costume like this and leave it in a hot car, you will find it in pieces later that day. The sort of gold standard for putting this all together is contact cement. If you're not familiar with contact cement, you basically brush it onto both sides of a piece, let it almost dry, and then you press them together. And the moment they contact, it's an instant bond. But it's not like super glue where like you have 10 seconds of working time and have to get it just right. You can kind of work your way through it. So it's very nice to work with, and it has a great bond. The brand name that's most commonly encountered is Barge Cement. You probably see that on online resources a lot. It's used by cobblers to like glue leather together or glue rubber to the soles of feet. You probably want to get the like original yellow can stinky stuff. That's probably the most effective. There are non-toluene versions that are maybe less toxic. Either way, especially with the original, you're going to need a ventilated space to work with. Wear a respirator. PPE is important. You don't want to be breathing those fumes for a long time.
Why not?
I mean,
Nothing's wrong with me.
Doesn't smell that bad.
I've huffed a lot of contact cement.
Guilty pleasures.
Brain damage.
I'm going to add a couple things to working with contact cement or barge. A lot of people, when they buy the can comes with a brush in the screw top, and they'll just use that directly, and you can do that. But a tip I picked up from my research was to buy a glue pot and put it into there, and that has its own brush, and you can kind of brush it on the sides, and it's Teflon, and the excess comes off easy, and it makes it easy to mix in thinner, which is something that you're also going to want to pick up if you've been working, if your can starts to get a little old or you've been working with it for a while. Some of the solvents does dry up, and it gets gooey, and it becomes less effective. You want it a little thinner, and to be able to put down multiple layers.
Yeah, there's some more tools to help it out too. Let's we gotta get going to the next one.
All right. Yeah, other adhesives
sorry.
that are helpful, spray glue, Super 77. Don't use that for anything permanent. Super 90 is another spray adhesive you can look at for permanent bonds. I actually like it for foam. So check that out.
Yeah, good stuff. This is one of mine.
Yep, that's
Okay,
you.
cool. Other materials, including steel wire, PVC, aluminum flat bar, which is what I use for the structure of Snorlax, are pretty good for different structures. Corset boning is one that I saw used by Adam Savage for a big fake bear costume. That one's also good for lightweight stuff. Unconventional ones, I'm using a backpack harness. Luna here used suspenders. She also talked about a a pregnancy belt?
It was like a maternity belt.
Maternity belt, yeah.
Anything can be cosplay.
Can work. Just make sure it's lightweight and supportive. There's plenty of things as well. You can see hard hats in Maluna's usage to keep the head central.
For you too, right?
Like helmets as well. I don't need that because it's not sitting on my head. It's sitting on Snorlax's shoulders. And don't put all the weight on your head as well. Sunglass lenses for eyes. Like we talked previously. Oh, that's 3D printed parts, not the other stuff. Yeah. Texel here used 3D printed parts for specialized things for a design he did. You can do that as well if you get into that. Different panel entirely. There's a lot behind that. Thermoplastics. If you've cosplayed almost anything, you've probably heard of Warbler. There's also Wonderflex and some others. Those are great for details. Plastidip, it's a spray finisher. It's supposed to be like a rubberized coating to like protect the material that you're about to paint. One of Snorlax's nails is plastidipped and spray painted. I wish I had done all of them that way because it's very durable. And then in addition to that, there's securing things with like Velcros, there's magnets, snaps, all to like make things more, what's the word? Reattachable, I think is the right word.
So you can dismember your cosplay.
Yeah. So it's not just one giant cosplay, it's a bunch of little pieces
to fit through doorways.
Yeah.
It's really important when they're big.
All right.
Oh, that's me. This is the build, Snorlax. How did I build Snorlax? The materials I used, like I was saying, EVA foam floor mats like he showed before. You can see the inside of Snorlax is very colorful because that was the cheapest EVA foam. And who cares? No one's going to see in there. Aluminum flat bars inside the body, supporting the arms straight across to each arm. And then we got a hiking backpack there in the center to centralize all the weight onto my body. Like I said before, Warbler for the nails. Did I use stone teeth? I think so. The teeth as well, and like all the bones, basically, of Snorlax. Barge. You'll hear praises of Barge. It holds the suit together. Love it. Bolts are necessary for the aluminum flat bar. And then we got straps and buckles to help with keeping all the pieces together, because it's mainly the body, and then the arms and legs and head are all separate. And then they have to be kept fairly close to the body, but not like secure, super secure, so I can still like move them around. But we have buckles, so it's just like not going anywhere and flying off or anything like that. Go ahead. Planning. That is very carefully done. It's weird. It's like chunks of EVA foam cut out and then like glued to the other bits of the foam, so it's like strapped down with the foam, basically.
We will have
We'll also
Q&A,
do questions after this.
but also, and it's going to be in later, Snorlax has made an awesome video of his build, so if you have additional questions after this, you can also check out his video, and it's linked at the end.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
No problem. It's also here, right out there, and we'll be able to look at it afterwards, as well as the Q&A afterwards. Small scale testing, Pepakura, love it. It's great. Model resource, get the model. I personally think it's really important to go with a lower poly model because, like we talked about before, the higher poly models mean you have way too many pieces for Pepakura. And in addition, the lower poly is going to be fine because when you make it into foam, all that's going to get smoothed out and you're not going to see other lines. It's going to be great. Trust me. I know. No, we're still good. Yeah. After I did the Pepakura, I then cut it up, which is sad. But it's very important because the shape of the model has its own ridges, and that doesn't line up necessarily with the texture normally. So you have to figure out where the lines actually are and then cut it appropriately to make a different shape than the actual model. So I do small scale, cut it, scan it, then project it onto a screen, trace that out, and then we use registration keys, which are, you probably can't even see that, but there's like little lines on the paper which tell me where I need to line things up and help things stay straight. And then at the top there, you can see me testing out some of the spray paint colors on the foam. Structure. Like what I was saying before, EVA foam for the body. What was that?
2 minutes.
Got it. And we got the frame inside. Like I said before, weird little setup I did. I just tried to find a way to put it together. I didn't know exactly what I was doing either. But it was just EVA foam over the bars to get it locked into place. And then, is that it? Basically, it's just barge, basically. Attach back, yep. Keeping it center. Straps to the body. Yeah, because then you put the straps and glue them onto the body so there's a place that they can lock into. And then I glued shoes directly into the EVA foam feet so I could just walk in them super easy. After that, the pattern is used again. When tracing the pattern again into faux fur to make this look like a furry Snorlax, you have to flip the pattern because the front face is the fur side. So you have to have the back of the pattern facing you. laying it down. Very important. And you have to remember that. I label all my stuff. Label all your stuff when you're working on stuff. You're going to forget. Don't mess it up. That way, at least. All the nails were super easy. Still using the same patterns. Trace it out on cardboard instead, and then hot glue it together, and then it's wrapped in Warbler to make it solid. After I did the fabric, I sew it all together, which I think is good most of the time, except for there's a one flaw that I have that I notice all the time, and that's like right at the center of Snorlax's belly. You can see like a line, like an X. I wish I had just done like an overlap and like just glued it, but the seam is just like making it pop out a little bit. So
I told everyone, so they're all going to see it.
yeah, now you'll see it. You're welcome. I hate it. Just think about that. That's all. Trim fur, as you can see, it's not always pretty, and that's okay. Snorlax's face looked so sad and pained in that second photo. Like he's having a rough time. But a little trim with some clippers, and then go at it with some scissors, and good as new. Yeah, and then prime the nails and paint them. That's pretty much it. Right? Am I missing anything? Let's see. I think I covered it all. Yeah.
Okay.
Is that oh,
That's
that's
it?
you. Yeah.
All right. Chocobo. This is me in a Chocobo costume, and you'll notice the carpet. That is the Gaylord, because that's where we are. We're at MAGFest. So, first of all, I'm very sorry. Trigger warning. So I'm gonna tell everybody in the room I am very bad at math. Really bad. I count on my fingers. My brother got all the math genes, like 100%. So everything I do is very not scientific. And good luck, right? That's how I act. So I spent a lot of time looking for a Chocobo pattern. I was looking for like a sewing pattern or looking for some type of pattern. I could not find what I wanted. And this particular Chocobo plush was just beautiful. It was perfect. Exactly what I wanted. So I dismembered and destroyed this poor baby. And I traced it onto, okay, in all fairness, actually, I bought two because I really liked it and I didn't want to destroy both of them. So this one got to watch his brother get destroyed. Sorry. But so I traced it onto kind of like transparency paper. Like if you're old like me and you have the school transparencies and stuff. Yeah. So I got one of those transparency projectors off of eBay or something like that. And I traced this onto the transparency thing and then projected it onto a wall. And that was my pattern. Very scientific, right? Just good luck. And actually, I still have all the pieces sitting in a little envelope in my office. I keep the corpse. So basically, as I said, I just kind of scaled it up to, I think I patterned it onto the wall and I stood next to it and I said, yeah, that looks about right. I use a lot of weird stuff. I'm one of those craft hoarders. I apologize to my family because I'm definitely a craft hoarder. So, hey, suspenders are a great idea because the costume is already heavy. So if I hold it, the weight on my shoulders, and then I can make it bounce a little. So that's kind of the way I was thinking about it. And I use the pattern twice, just like everybody else, foam and fabric. I do actually have some regrets about that, and I am working on remaking Chocobo. I think I would do it a little differently next time and not sew it, and actually just glue it to it, but in a different way. And basically, Chocobo breaks into modular parts for the reason of packing it. I drive a sedan, and I drive a sedan here, and guess what? Large cosplay doesn't fit in the sedan, especially with food and stuff, too. So it gets real scooshed in there. And so another idea I attempted that actually sort of worked was inflatable wings. So I had the wings and I made my own like inflatable type of thing and stuck it in there. That way I was able to like take it to a convention much smaller and then blow it up. And actually worked fairly well. So something to think about in the future, inflatables to try to save space and get things around. Next up, cat for scale, because he's really annoying and likes to sit exactly where I don't want him to.
It's just cats, isn't it?
Oh my God, this one in particular. Anytime I make cosplay, I find both of my cats inside the cosplay, like in my living room. They just like to sleep in there. So my cosplay have fur on the inside, fur on the outside, fur on the inside. You can see me modeling and trying it on, just seeing the fit. You can see also that I use a pretty thick foam. One of the things I've always tried to do, trying to think if I have it on the next panel or not. Yeah, in the next panel, I'll just talk about it. But basically, I put the pieces on the floor to just see what it would look like when it's done. Mascot cosplay is 1,000% trust the process, because as you're going through, it looks weird sometimes. It's not going to look right. It goes through iterations. It's okay. Just roll with it. It'll be fine. And you're going to be the only one that notices the big X on the chest that now everybody's going to see.
Oops.
So just
you are your worst critic, for sure.
Just a couple real quick things here. I love mascot cosplay. I started using interfacing for my patterns because it's stronger, it's cheap, and I can fold it up and I can do things with it without having to worry about like the paper tearing and stuff like that. I've learned how to ladder stitch. That is how you fix holes. That is how you do things. That is how you kind of get stuff together. So ladder stitch is really easy. Learn how to do that one. And the big thing for me, and we'll kind of get into safety later, but my personal goal is to make my cosplay without any hard structures. Now, granted, the hard hat's a little different, but I knew somebody who used to wear a large costume and she got tackled in her costume. And I have this big fear now that somebody's going to get really excited and go for that like 2003 glomp and like take me out. So I have big fears of getting hurt. So
I have absolutely been hugged a little too aggressively before. Someone like run in and tackle hug. It's like, I don't have the bounce for that.
We'll definitely get to safety, but it's a real concern. So I always try to make my cosplay without any hard structure. And then weight distribution, like he mentioned, don't put all the weight on your head. Pachimari literally sat on my forehead. I had a migraine the whole weekend. And then the last thing is fursuit follow me eyes. Fursuits in general are amazing. They have such unique like costuming stuff, like all kinds of stuff that you wouldn't think of. They've really got to learn how to do. So follow me eyes work really well for mascot cosplay because you're large, and when people walk around you, it looks like the eyes are following you, and it's kind of cool. So that's a little bit about Chocobo.
All right. We're going to talk a little bit about the Scyther build. There were no corpses in my process. All right, so getting started with how I was going to do this, I mentioned in the earlier resources section that modeling is a big part of my process and trying to fit it to my body because the default Pokemon proportions were just not going to work. And I didn't have to make that many big changes, which was great. And so, I can even fool people that pictures of me are actually an AR overlay, which is awesome. So as I was putting this together, I hadn't learned that much about foam. I thought that I would make everything out of EVA foam after researching it and how to, do armor builds and stuff. And I made a few pieces that way, like the head, which is pretty solid. And with all the detail and, the spikes and stuff, it works really great. I make all my heads out of that now. But then we get to parts like the abdomen or the feet, and it's like, these need to bend. How is this going to work? And so I incorporated upholstery foam as well. It's about a 50-50 mix. I get the flexibility on those big parts, and I get the rigidity and strength where I need it, although EVA foam is not a cure-all for that, as we'll get into. One of my big considerations also was how I was going to deal with the wings, which I want to be out and beautiful where they're in the way and whacking everyone or getting whacked and broken. I've broken those wings like 3 or 4 times in doors or through accidents. So I have a way to help deal with that. And I ended up incorporating 3D printing after the first build, so after my MAGFest debut. It kind of did almost half of it over again. To improve it. So next slide. The structure, I mentioned the different kinds of foam that I use, barge cement to hold it together. I also incorporated Super 90 spray foam, which is kind of a thicker, stickier, webby type of glue, and I found that to be helpful for gluing upholstery foam end to end, as opposed to brushing on the barge. Your mileage may vary. They seem to have changed their formula at some point. It's not as good. For the for how I was going to hold up the abdomen, like how am I going to keep this on me? I have this like magnet belt hidden under my spandex suit underneath, and the abdomen has magnets in the back, and they just kind of hug this thing, I guess, and that holds that up. You know, I've got shoes buried in the feet, and then you know, how did I tackle some of these bigger components, which are also delicate components? So, all right. So one of those was the size, which, you know, they're not huge, but they're straight and they're kind of thin. And my first attempt of just gluing 2 sheets of EVA foam together left me with hot dog fingers, basically. It was very sad, and I had to do it over. And that's when I started utilizing carbon fiber rod, which I have embedded in here. And so now they're very rigid. Moving on to the wings. Those were also kind of a challenge to figure out how I was going to approach them. Like, was I going to make them out of foam? Was I going to make them out of wire? I ended up using steel wire. In my V1, I just used steel wire, and they kind of like drooped and fell apart. The wire itself wasn't strong enough, and I didn't like design it or engineer it that well. So when I did my V2, I actually sort of built it as a truss structure, which is pretty strong. But even then, all that leverage is just like on the base, and that one little wire down there is not enough to keep it sturdy. So carbon fiber rods, again, in smaller diameters are flexible. And so that is holding up, you know, most of the force that the wings are exerting on the back. And then I had to go, this is where I started incorporating 3D printing and developing like this little elbow connector that has a spline on either end, which allows me to not only take the wings out and mount them on this tiny little point on the back, like the model would, I can change their positions. And so on the side here, I have each wing in the most common configuration that I might use at a con. When they're out, they're great for photos, they look fantastic, and you're a liability to everyone. When they're down, they're mostly behind me like a cape, and I can walk around the convention center even on my own. Normally you'll want a handler when you have this bulk, and certainly with the wings out, I need that. But that's where, you know, logistics planning becomes an important part. Finally, just like how I finished this thing, I said that I made this out of spandex, which was a surprise to me. I wasn't expecting to use that. But working with this, I didn't pattern onto the fabric like you might expect. I used a draping technique where you just take a sheet of the stuff and kind of put it over the model and like start pinning it in place until it seems about right, and then just like cut out the piece. And once I had all those pieces pinned in place, I took them and sewed them together and hand sewed what I needed to at the end. And that's, you know, the finish. And it came out great, I think.
So how did we get here? How did we actually physically get here? Not easily. Most of my travel has been SUVs, or if I have to, get a U-Haul or a rental truck of some kind. But hopefully you don't have one as big as mine, or have to deal with that. Definitely have to consider how big your costume is going to be, what it can fit in. As we talked before, consider your roommates and where you're going to put this thing. Whenever I go anywhere, that suit lives in the car. That's where it lives. When I'm not in suit, it's just in the car. It's going to stay there. It'll be fine. Yeah, we can just go to the next one after that.
I always thought you rented a van for
Not
some
always.
reason.
There were some times. So there was one time, not to brag, but I did a Make-A-Wish once. Twice, actually. And they covered the U-Haul for me to get there, at least. But yeah, no. Normally I just shove it into a SUV. Oh, Texel's got to cover this one. He's got a great, beautiful case here. As you can see in the bottom photo, it's just in a basement. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Again, just remember you got to put it somewhere. So make sure you have a space for it.
That's how Scyther lived for the first year, and I determined that the most compact way to store him was like on a person, so like a suit of armor, and I built a custom solution to put him on display, I guess. You can see the PVC pipe here that is sticking out of the abdomen there. I take that with me to cons, so I can put most of this awkward stuff into the closet.
Oh, yeah. Water. You are a human. Safety is important. Stretch, eat. Don't eat too much because, you might get sick in that suit. Yeah, exactly. You got to worry about bathroom breaks and stuff like that. Definitely hydrate always. I have a Camelback. You can see it right there. That right there in the slide. That's just like 2.5 liters of water, and I go through it. I absolutely go through it. Do I need bathroom breaks? No, because I sweat it all out.
That's no joke, too.
That's literally true. It's like, definitely find a way out of your suit. You need to be able to get out safely. Remember, you are a human. You need to have your badge, snacks, whatever you can have in there. And with big suits, you're able to do that. But if you're not able to do that, we have people that help us.
Segue. All right. So handlers. Handlers are our besties. What handlers are for large format cosplay are they watch your back. They help you walk around. They make sure you don't step on any children. They make sure that people aren't like touching you inappropriately in your large costume. And yes, that has happened. They're going to help you with your breaks, your water, your snacks. Maybe you need to do a potty break, right? So they're going to watch your costume while you're running to the bathroom because otherwise it's just going to sit out there. They're going to keep you safe in situations where maybe you can't tell what's going on. So literally in my little photo picture thing here, one of my friends was going to jump on me, and then my handler jumped in the way and protected me. I'll be honest, I actually did not know this series of photos was taken. I saw the pictures afterwards. That is a legitimate looking down like, hey, what's this guy doing? Did not know this was happening. So very much thank your handlers, take them to dinner, give them something because your handlers make your cosplay if you are wearing something very large and you can't get around by yourself. Like they really save the day. So thank you, handlers.
Thank you.
All right. So if you are a handler or if you are preparing your handler, because not all handlers are made equal and some of them might need a little bit more direction than others. First of all, Snorlax has this amazing, this is such a good sign that says to please be gentle. Oh, you did?
Yeah, it's outside.
This is such a good idea. I did business cards for mine to be like, hey, here's my Instagram because I can't talk. But this was... photos are welcome. Take a Pokedex.
Which is also a business card. Actually.
Yeah, I actually have one.
Yeah, you do. Awesome. We're out of them again.
As a general rule, ask for permission, yes or no. A lot of times, they can't hear you in your cosplay because your mouth is like this far away from like your face or whatever. So, you
address yourself. Say, hey.
Yes.
How's it going?
Your handler often speaks for you. So they are okay to be assertive and say, hey, back off. Or maybe you can let them know that, hey, it might be really boring for you. Trade off, have shifts, like, stuff like that. And it can be really hard to walk from one place to another because you're getting photos taken of you every 2 steps. And some people get really annoyed by that. And they may not be a good handler. It's not because they're a bad person. It's just because it can be really annoying to like take 2 steps and then here's a picture and take 2 steps, here's a picture, which is really fun for the cosplayer. It is not as much fun for the person that's just hanging around holding your bag. So I don't have to go through everything here. Just assume that your handler is the person who is your extra set of hands and your safety buddy.
They are part of your cosplay.
They are
Treat
part of
them
your
well.
cosplay.
Train them well.
And then real last one. Oh. Love your cosplay. Being a mascot, and I want to make sure we each get a chance to talk here because being a mascot is amazing. It is a very different thing than dressing like a character and looking like them. You become this character. You are Snorlax. You are Chocobo. You are Cute Thulu murdering an overcooked little chef. You're like, look at this sword fight. This is the memorable stuff. This is the stuff that you remember or that other people remember. Like, hey, I got to see this person in this cosplay. I got to see Snorlax and Chocobo having like a dance off. Like, that's the cool stuff that you remember. Don't block the walkway. MAGFest does not like that. I don't like that when I'm walking around. Nobody likes it.
But it's part of my MO.
I'm going to get a polka flute and I'm just kidding. So just be aware of all of these things, but enjoy being your cosplay. Enjoy it, love it, do it, and interact with others. You guys?
Yeah, this photo is actually really great because this guy came up to me and was like, hey, can you step on me? Which is sus, but also hilarious.
Did he pay you?
Man, he should have.
Do you have any idea how many execution selfies I am asked for?
The double, the count.
Yeah, the X scissor.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that photo like worked out really well. He had to like get underneath me and he had to like lift up my foot a little bit because this is like my first debut and I was still getting used to my suit. And then he was like done with his photo. I was just like just messing with him. It was so good. A lot of fun, a lot of dancing.
All right, so now hopefully this is we went through a lot of information. We blazed through it. We're gonna switch over to Q&A. Just for the sake of time, if you have a question, raise your hand and we'll repeat your question. Oh my God!
There's a mic right here too.
Do we want to do that?
We can do that.
All right.
Yeah, then we won't have to repeat
about
the questions.
8 minutes.
All right.
Unless they tell us we need to get. Unless we're good, you gotta flip a switch. Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever matched a handler costume cosplay to a handler to the person being handled? So Pokemon trainer to Pokemon.
I did have a friend who was a trainer one time, and he helped me out with some poses. We had there was this one idea that I had a lot of fun with. He had got a bed sheet, covered me, and he put down a little doll Snorlax and said, "Snorlax, you substitute." It was great. So yeah, we have done that. It's a great idea. Definitely suggest it.
Hi. So I wanted to do a big like showpiece for a contest one day. I was like, oh, I want to do something cool, and I thought, oh, I do want to do like a big old dragon and puppet or something like that, but I didn't. It's so big that the idea of like, because I wanted to be like a big boss fight, like a Chinese dragon floating around. Where do you, like, how do you can't really use, I don't think foam was going to be light enough for that. Like, do you use paper? Do you, what would be a better way to?
Maybe cardboard. There's a lot of different options.
Cardboard?
And there's a lot of ways to make something not look like itself. Let's say you were to take cardboard and put a thin layer of foam on top of it to kind of give it some softness and then put fabric on that. Like, there's a lot of ways to make something look like something else.
Okay. I thought about maybe like inflatables and stuff like that, but
Inflatables could work too.
Inflatables.
But
Styrofoam.
Styrofoam, okay.
Styrofoam, yeah.
Cool.
There's a lot you can do. Just I think the best bet is just try to find something light and then try to find something to just cover over it to make the illusion work.
Okay. Cool.
Thank you.
Hello. Do you have any tips and tricks for like vision, like the eyes, like what you use to what you see through there, or do you see nothing?
There are many ways to approach this depending on what costume you're building. And if you are to have a big costume where like you're looking out the neck or something, a common thing people will do is like have a mesh cut out, but it's also visible to people, so it's not that fun to put that in your costume. If you have something like my flick where the eyes are like maybe about level, but they're out here, I came up with a solution for that, which is up here on the table.
Is this not the coolest?
It's really great.
After I built this, I learned it has a name. This is called a telestereoscope, and it is a double parallel mirror that's basically putting periscopes on your eyes, and I can actually see out these mirrors, out the sides of those eyes, and it's terrible. But it does work, technically.
Otherwise, for vision, I have thought about like setting up like a camera and a small display. Like we talked before. Oh my gosh. Yeah, as if my suit's not hot enough. The other options, like we talked before, was the black fabric, which doesn't let anyone see inside, but lets you see out.
Based on light. It's if the light is brighter outside, you can't see in.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
All right, thank you for speaking with us today. I only just got into cosplay this year, actually, but one of my long-term goals is to cosplay as Godzilla. What I wanted to ask you is, he has a long tail, and how would you protect and maintain a piece like that when it's like dragging along the floor behind you?
I think Scotch Guard works really well, if I'm not mistaken, on fabric.
Some people will build like dedicated like half bags
Like
or
trolley systems, basically.
not so much a trolley, but just like a cover that they put on the bottom of the tail, so that is what's dragging on the ground.
Right.
Or they'll like get a leash so they can like kind of hold it up and pin it to them when they're walking around.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that too, or like I think the EVA foam with Plastidip is pretty durable. Gotta toy around with it, really. When you go outside and look at the suit, you can see the bottom of my feet are worn.
Yeah.
They've seen better days. So, yeah, definitely say try that out.
Try some things out. YouTube some stuff.
Yeah,
Thank you.
no problem.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, it's great info. Thank you so much. Just out of curiosity, I've heard a lot about internal cooling, like little battery-operated
Yeah.
personal fans, CPU fans. Have you tried that? Have you heard any tips or methods? Is it kind of a farce?
You had the water suit, didn't you?
No, I don't use it. So for this
I've
costume,
tried a lot of things.
I don't need cooling, but for others, some people will use cooling vests that like
I've
they
done that.
freeze
Yep,
and then
that's what I'm
they
trying to
thaw
say.
out while you're
It's not
wearing
good.
them. Those can be good for like a couple hours, but then you need to take them off because they start to do the opposite.
It's also heavy.
It is
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
weight. Some people also try to incorporate fans, which is something I'm experimenting with in a current build.
Which is also heavy. I've done fans. The problem is not only is the fan, to get a legit fan, the fan itself is heavy, so your costume has to be able to hold up the fan. You got to attach it.
Then you need
And there's
power,
a
which
battery
is
pack,
heavy.
which is also heavy.
Yeah.
So battery pack can also go on your hip, though. Something to keep in mind is use your own body. I've tried so many methods, and I'll be honest, I still can't figure out the right one. So we
Sounds
sweat a
hard.
lot.
We sweat a lot. We sweat a lot. Definitely stay hydrated.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Hello.
Hi, thank you. So I'm a big 40K fan, and I was wondering if you had any advice or experience with stilts or things to make you taller.
I want to.
Because
I think I'm actually going to be building something with that. I'm just going to have to need it. It's tough. I don't have any experience, though.
I don't have any direct experience with them, but I
Drywall stilts. Things, we did a Lord Business in a group Lego cosplay several years ago. And yeah, you have to practice.
Yeah.
Bring a stool for in between movement. It's really hard.
okay,
So an answer from the audience is drywall stilts as a potential solution to that, and
Train
definitely
yourself.
practice with them.
I think, yeah, absolutely with like anything.
We've
Do
got
some practice before it.
1 minute left.
okay,
Can we rapid fire?
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I have more of a question about puppetry as an idea. So I want to do a cosplay that's quite a lot taller than me with moving pieces kind of out to the sides. And I was curious, I want to do like a mech kind of cosplay, something very rigid, but I don't know how to kind of mesh something that is in pieces, but also have that rigidity.
Look at the people who make the articulating wings,
Okay.
because those are able to come in and out. Like you're mentioning puppetry, and those are made of aluminum usually. These are the aluminum flat bar like he uses. Look up
That
those
and
wings
PVC,
as
I
an
think.
idea.
Or
Yeah.
PVC.
There's a lot
Yeah.
of like bigger mech-sized people that are doing suits like that. So have
If
a
you
look at
happen
that.
to know any, the names would be great.
to look it
there's
up.
just, yeah, you can look it up, but there's definitely one cosplayer that I watch or look at is Extreme Cosplays.
Thank you for
Another-
coming, by the way.
Yeah.
We'll try to get through these questions, but
Another-
thank you guys
another-
for coming.
Another cosplayer to look up would be Willow Creative.
If you guys want, also the suit's right outside, and I'll be suiting up shortly after this.
Oh, God, yes. Hi, sorry, just one last question for me. It does involve the tail as well. Sometimes I've noticed people, when they're moving quickly, will just like smack straight into you. So, like, how do you try to avoid that as best as you can, or like
Handler.
make sure your
The
costume's
story
secure?
of my life.
Yeah, because I like
uh,
hang next to the wall and I'm like, please don't
yeah,
come near
definitely
me.
try and maneuver in a way that makes your space clear.
Okay.
Some people just aren't aware, and it's unfortunate.
You can't
Yeah.
control other people.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no. So I was like, with the larger cosplays, like it is kind of easier. But when you have like a larger part,
Yeah.
it's like, how do you make sure to kind of protect yourself without like?
Just like move your arm.
Yeah.
I had this problem a lot with Flick, and I don't have a solution other than anticipate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Be
I would
ready for it.
Also argue that be prepared for it to have damage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Make it durable.
All right, that's good to know. Thank you.
Last
Yeah.
one.
So my question is, I have illusions of grandeur of building an Ifrit cosplay from Final Fantasy 16.
Wait, I'm sorry. What is it?
Ifrit from Final Fantasy 16.
Ifrit? I don't know that one, but
Yeah, no, I know. 16's great.
Good.
Yeah. Okay.
So I have ideas for the tail. I have ideas for the digitigrade legs, but I don't have ideas for his horns. That would be probably on a helmet that would have, not really a helmet, but something that would have to rest on your shoulders. But I don't know, because they arch back.
You're gonna need. It's gonna need some type of structure on the inside. So you can use something like the carbon fiber. You can use something and then surround it with something else.
I would look into 3D printing options. There are lightweight materials, either PLA or like foaming TPU that might be appropriate for this.
Okay.
So they won't add much weight, but they'll have pretty good structure.
And it could be kind of like a lattice too, because it's going to be covered with something, right? So
Right.
it doesn't have to be like solid print, and that
Right.
might actually make it easier for you.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much.
no
Good
problem.
luck.
Thank
Thank you, everyone.
All right, thanks
All
for
right, thank you,
coming.
We
everyone.
got to get out of here now.